T-Mobile Park is one of those MLB stadiums where the story starts before the first game was ever played. For the Seattle Mariners, this ballpark was tied directly to the franchise's future in the city. Before it opened, the Mariners played inside the Kingdome, a multi-purpose concrete dome that never really fit the direction baseball stadiums were moving in by the 1990s. Around the league, teams were shifting towards baseball-specific parks with natural grass, open-air settings, downtown views, and more attention to the fan experience. Seattle eventually followed the path, but the process was tense, political, and closely watched because the Mariners' long-term future in Seattle was part of the conversation. The series planning began in the mid-1990s. In March 1994, King County executive Gary Locke appointed a task force to study the need, cost, location, and public role in the new Major League Baseball stadium. In 1995, the task force recommended public involvement in financing the new ballpark. Later that year, a King County sales proposal tax was set to help pay the stadium, which was narrowly defeated by the voters. In October 1995, a special session of Washington State Legislature authorized a difference funding package using sources such as King County food and beverage tax, a car rental surge charge, an admissions tax, a state sales tax credit, and special stadium license plates. 9 days later, the King County Council approved the package and created the Washington State Major League Baseball Stadium Public Facilities District, which would own the ballpark and oversee the project. The location chosen was just south of the Kingdome, in Seattle's SoDo neighborhood. That decision mattered because it kept the Mariners close to their existing fan base while giving the team a modern, baseball-only home. The stadium was designed by Seattle's-based MBBJ, selected in January 1996, and Hunt Kiewit was chosen as a general contractor in April of the same year. On March 8, 1997, about 30,000 people showed up for the official groundbreaking, with Ken Griffey Jr. helping launch the project. By that point, Griffey was already the face of the franchise, and his presence at the groundbreaking became part of the ballpark's origin story. Construction was a major engineering challenge. According to the Washington State Ballpark Public Facilities District, the T-Mobile Park took 27 months to build and costed around $517 million, including $126 million contributed by the Mariners. The site was difficult because it sat on a former tidelands, with soft soil that had to be heavily reinforced. Crews drove 1,400 pilings into the ground, averaging about 90 feet deep, until they reached bedrock. Because Seattle is in an earthquake-prone region, the ballpark was also built on 7 different structures, allowing parts of the stadium to shift without breaking during seismic activity. As peak construction, as many as 1,000 people were working on the project at one time. The most recognizable feature of the stadium is the retractable roof. Unlike some retractable roof ballparks that fully enclose the stadium, T-Mobile Park's roof works more like a massive umbrella. It protects the field and seating bowl from the rain, but the sides remain open so the building still feels like an outdoor park. The roof spans 655 feet, covers 8.9 acres, and weighs more than 11,000 tons. It moves on wheeled assemblies powered by 96 10-horsepower motors and can open or close in less than 20 minutes. With the Mariners' own ballpark history, noting that the 3 panels can extend or retract in roughly 15 minutes. When open, the panels stack over the railroad tracks along the stadium's eastern edge. The ballpark opened as Safeco Field. Naming rights were sold on June 4, 1998 to Seattle-based Safeco Corporation for $40 million, and the stadium carried that name from its opening through the end of the 2018 season. On January 1, 2019, the ballpark officially became T-Mobile Park through a 25-year partnership with T-Mobile, whose U.S. headquarters are in nearby Bellevue. The name change took some getting used to for the fans, who had spent nearly 2 decades calling it Safeco. But the stadium itself remained the same landmark, a brick, steel, and glass ballpark built around baseball, skyline views, and the Pacific Northwest weather. The first game was played on July 15, 1999, right after the All-Star break. The Mariners hosted the San Diego Padres and lost 3-2. It was not the perfect on-field opening Seattle would have wanted, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter for the franchise. The Mariners had moved from the enclosed Kingdome into the natural grass, open-air ballpark with a retractable roof, giving the team one of the more distinct homes in the Major League Baseball. The club's official ballpark page lists the first game as a sold-out crowd to 44,604, while the Mariners' broader stadium timeline describes it as a capacity crowd of 47,000. The first few seasons gave the stadium a lot of important moments quickly. On July 17, 1999, in just the 3rd game at the new park, Russ Davis hits his first home run in the stadium history, and Raul Ibanez later hit the first Grand Slam there. In 2000, the ballpark hosted its first postseason series. On October 6, 2000, the Mariners completed a sweep of the Chicago White Sox in the American League Division Series with a 2-1 walk-off win. Carlos Guillen dropped down a sequence bunt that scored Rickey Henderson, sending Seattle into the next round and giving the new stadium its first major playoff memory. Then came 2001, the season that defined the Mariners baseball more than any other. Safeco Field hosted the All-Star Game on July 10, 2001, with the American League beating the National League 4-1. Seattle had 8 players in the game, and manager Lou Piniella was also part of the American League staff. That All-Star Game is remembered heavily for Cal Ripken Jr.'s final Midsummer Classic, but in Seattle it was also a showcase for the Mariners team in the middle of a historic run. Ichiro Suzuki, Brett Boone, John Olerud, Edgar Martinez, Mike Cameron, Kazuhito Sasaki, Freddie Garcia, and Jeff Nelson all represented the Mariners that year. That same season, the Mariners turned Safeco Field into one of the loudest buildings in baseball. On September 19, 2001, just 8 days after the 9/11 attacks, Seattle clinched the American League West with a 4-0 win over Anaheim. The Mariners' official history notes the emotional post-game scene, with the players carrying the American flag around the infield. Then on October 6, 2001, the Mariners beat the Texas Rangers 1-0 for their 116th win of the season, setting an American League record and tying the 1906 Chicago Cubs for the most regular season wins in Major League history. Brent Boone's first inning homer supplied the only run, and Kazuhito Sasaki closing it out. Another historical night came on October 1st, 2004, when Ichiro Suzuki broke George Sisler's 84-year-old single-season hit record. Sisler had held the mark with 257 hits since 1920. Ichiro passed it at Safeco Field and finished the season with 262 hits, a modern MLB record that still stands. The moment fit the ballpark perfectly and packed Seattle's crowd, one of the most unique hitters in baseball history, and a record that had survived for generations, finally falling in front of the home fans. The stadium also became a major stage for pitching history, especially in 2012. On April 22nd, Philip Humber of the Chicago White Sox threw a perfect game against the Mariners, the first no-hitter and first perfect game in Safefield Co. history. On June 9th, 6 Mariner pitchers, Kevin Millwood, Charlie Furbush, Stephen Pryor, Lucas Lutzke, Brandon League, Tom Williamson, combined to no hit with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Then, on August 15th, Félix Hernández threw the first perfect game in Mariners history, beating the Tampa Bay Rays 1-0. It was the 23rd perfect game in MLB history, and for the Seattle fans, it remains one of the defining moments ever played in the building. T-Mobile Park has changed over time as well. Before 2013 season, the outfield wall was moved in from the left field through the right center, including a move up to 17 feet in deep left field center. The hand-operated scoreboard in the left field, which had previously been in play, was also relocated. The same period brought a massive HD video board above the center field, which, the Mariners note, was the largest in MLB at the time. The stadium uses natural grass, specifically 100% bluegrass, and its current listed seating capacity of the Mariners ballpark page is 47,943. The more recent history has added another layer. On September 30th, 2022, Cal Raleigh hit the walk-off home run that ended Seattle's long playoff drought. In 2023, the ballpark hosted the MLB All-Star Game again, with the National League winning 3-2 on July 11th at T-Mobile Park, and Elias Diaz of the Colorado Rockies named MVP. On January 1st, 2024, the stadium was converted for hockey and hosted the NHL Winter Classics, where the Seattle Kraken beat the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 in front of 47,313 fans. By 2025, the ballpark had another major postponed season chapter. On September 24th, 2025, Cal Raleigh hit his 60th home run as the Mariners clinched their first American League West title since 2001. A few weeks later, on October 10th, 2025, Seattle beat the Detroit Tigers in a 15-inning game 5 of the American League Division Series. Jorge Polanco's walk-off single sent the Mariners to their first ALCS since 2001. For the stadium that opened in the middle of the 1999 season, it has already carried several different eras of Mariner baseball. Griffey's final Seattle years before his trade, the 116th win season, Ichiro's record, Felix's perfect game, the end of the playoff drought, and a new run of October baseball. T-Mobile Park's place in MLB is pretty clear. It was built because Seattle needed a true baseball home, and it has held up because the design solved a local problem without losing the feel of an outdoor stadium. The roof deals with the rain, the open sides keep the city and the sky in view, and the building has aged better than many parks from the same era. For Mariners fans, it is not only the stadium after the Kingdome, it is where the franchise's modern history has been written, from its first pitch in 1999 to some of the biggest games the team has ever played. And that's the video today on the T-Mobile Park. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down below, and if we missed something, please do share. In the meantime, my name is Justin. I'll see you next time on TFC Stadiums. Ciao.